They consider him the greatest painter in Spain. Most marvelous work indeed, Goya.
Before the style of Goya can be understood, it is important to understand the man himself and where his style initially formed. There is not much known information on the early years of Francisco Goya's life. What is known of his beginnings is that he was born on March 30th, 1746, to a descendant of nobility and a painter in the small Spanish town of Fuentetodos. Aside from his formal schooling, Goya's education as an artist began at the age of 14 when he became an apprentice to José Luzán. Goya spent 4 years under his direction before traveling to Madrid in hopes to win an award at the Academy of San Fernando. Rather than winning this award, however, Goya came away with the acquaintance of Francisco Goya. It was this influence in Goya's life that served as the spark for the style of Goya's early works. While he would later travel to Italy in 1776 to take part in various competitions, Goya always stayed relatively close to Spain, and his birthplace near Saragossa in particular. Goya would participate in many fresco-style works during this period, continually refining his craft, while taking inspiration from esteemed artists such as Velázquez and Rembrandt. Modernism is an artistic movement which follows the thought of humans being able to change their environment with science, technology, and knowledge. In short, modernism results in the idea that we, as artists and as humans, should reject tradition. Modernism encourages experimentation and freedom of expression, and is the precursor to many new forms of art and trains of thought, such as surrealism and postmodernism. It is said by some that Francisco Goya is the artist that would spark this new way of thinking, being the last of the old masters and the first of the moderns. To express his ideas and emotions, Goya used a variety of artistic mediums, such as etchings, fresco, which is a form of painting on the surface of plaster, sketches, and traditional oil-based paintings. But his life would progress and evolve, so would style and feel of his work. By the year 1792, Goya had contracted a disease which would eventually leave him deaf. After this point, pessimism was more prevalent in his work, clearly dividing his life's works into two eras. Let's take a look at a few pieces of his work and how the events of his life and the world around him affected the style and feel of these works. Here are two paintings done in the earlier parts of Goya's artistic career, The Flower Girls and Little Giants. His optimism for life before his disease is clearly present in both of these scenes. Both images portray youth without a care in the world. They are also both similar in composition, arranging the subjects in the center of the frame and using background objects such as trees, hills, and the ground to draw attention of the viewer to the scene in the center. Throughout his life, Goya has an affinity for portraying scenes of everyday life. While the intensity of the colors in both paintings are not overbearing, they represent a broad color scheme showing scenes of bliss. In the executions of the 3rd of May, one of Goya's most celebrated and well-known paintings, the pessimism which crept into later parts of his life is apparent. The subject matter of this painting depicts an event during the invasion of Spain from the armies of Napoleon. This is a very dark picture, both in lighting value and in style, to convey the attitude of hopelessness in such an event. The high contrast in combination with the use of few colors helped to achieve such a feat, painting a bleak outlook on this scene. The scarce selection of colors, which include yellows, browns, and reds, enhance the dark tone of the scene and serve only to show you what needs to be seen. While we've seen in the prior paintings that Goya has been known to use an array of colors, Goya picks and chooses his colors to fit the subject matter and intent. The people also serve as a way of drawing our attention to the man being executed. The soldiers stand faceless, with their rifles as their biggest defining attribute, drawing the attention to the victims using the parallel lines of the rifles. The victims on the left of the frame are shown with faces. Clearly, it is their point of view that the viewer is supposed to be siding with. The last work we will be looking at is entitled Saturn Devouring His Sons, one of Goya's most odd and disturbing works. This painting is one in a series of 14 called the Black Paintings. These paintings were done as wall paintings, which were later transferred into canvas. The paintings, such as the one shown here, depict scenes that break the boundaries of the norms of the time and show insane and nightmarish images which were no doubt derived from the descending madness of Goya during his later years of life. While it would appear that the subject matter of this painting would be inspired by Roman mythology, the style of this work is inconsistent with any ideas or traditions based in Roman mythology. Instead, this painting uses a known myth and twists the perception of it to make a statement about the civil conflicts going on in Spain during that point in Goya's life. Once again, Goya uses a minimal color scheme, yet high contrasts in value to create a dynamic portrait of a quite disturbing scene. The colors used are similar to that of the executions of the 3rd of May, once again giving the viewer the sense of dread. The rest of his career would be a stream of scenes of chaos not unlike the one before you. Francisco Goya died on April 16, 1828, but would prove to survive through his works of art. Many of his works are on display at the famous Museo del Prado in Madrid, along with the paintings of artists whom Goya inspired, such as Picasso and Monet. These artists would in turn inspire countless others throughout history, spreading the ideas and values of Goya even further, as such is the nature of art. But the man himself was never forgotten. Several films have been made chronicling his life and works, such as Goya, filmed in 1948, and the more recent Goya and Bordeaux, filmed in 1999. Also, a 1986 opera entitled Goya was written by Giancarlo Menotti and has been presented on television. The most recent endeavor in new media would be the film entitled Goya's Ghosts. This film, which stars Natalie Portman and Stellan Skarsgård as Francisco Goya, has recently wrapped up production and should reach American movie theaters sometime in early 2007. Even today, society is still celebrating the life of one of Spain's most esteemed artists.